So we have a quorum, so
Yes,
I will call
we
the
have a
meeting.
quorum.
Okay, so let's see, we've got 3 action items. Johnny, are we gonna have to take them one at a time? Or can I
Yes.
deal with the question?
Uh,
What's that?
I would take them one at a time, but if you don't have any discussion, just because of the way our voting system works, we'll have to record each vote separately.
I understand. Okay, so let's bring up the first one to adopt the 2021 board and committee meeting schedule. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, can we get a vote?
Okay,
I need
I
a vote.
move.
And who is that you, Tom?
That was Charlie moving.
Charlie moving. Okay, and second,
Second.
was that Paul Kaufman?
Yes, Paul second.
Okay. We are ready to vote. Thanasi Perlovelos,
Yes.
Tom Battaglia,
Yes.
Charles Hawquist,
Yes.
Paul Kaufman,
Yes.
Roberta Spoon,
Yes.
Almas Udris,
Yes.
and the motion passes 6-0.
All right, item number 2, staff's recommendation to amend the committee's charter, conflict of interest policy, fraud and criminal acts policy, over and underpayment benefits policy, over and underpayment contribution policies. Any discussion by any of the committee members? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Paul makes a motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Is that Charlie? I'm
Charlie.
sorry. Is the first, is that Charles?
Paul,
Paul?
Charlie is the second.
Okay, Paul and Charlie. Ready to vote? Thanasi Perlovelos,
yes.
Tom Battaglia,
Yes.
Charles Hawquist,
Yes.
Paul Kaufman,
Yes.
Roberta Spoon,
Yes.
Almas Udris,
Yes.
and the motion passes 6-0.
All right. Item number 3, authorize staff to execute 3 contract IT audit activities during fiscal year 21 instead of 2. This is predominantly due to the, if I recall, it was the Department of Homeland Security penetration audit that's now been shifted to, is it White Hat? Any questions or comments by anybody? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
Paul makes a motion to approve.
And that
Thank you,
is,
Paul.
thank you.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Bobby.
We are ready to vote. Thanasi Perlovelos,
Yes?
Tom Battaglia,
Yes.
Charles Hawquist,
Yes.
Paul Kaufman,
Yes.
Roberta Spoon,
Yes.
Almas Udris,
Yes.
and the motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, everybody. Let's move into information items. The first one is Code of Business Conduct and Ethics. Johnny Tran, Greg has said that you were to be heard on this matter.
Yes, thank you, Tanathi. I just wanted to be heard because staff has put a lot of work into this, and it's something we're very proud of. This is a 3-month process that we've created, this employee code of business and ethics document. It really is a one-stop shop of all the board values that we espouse, the ethics requirements, the regulations and laws that we can give to our employees, say, this is who we are, this is what we want you to be, read it, sign it, let's do it. And so we've worked for several months with our outside consultants on compliance to really make this a best practice for SDCERS. Went to each division manager for their input and review, went to management team meeting for their input. So after this board meeting this September, we will be implementing it. Any questions?
Johnny, I thought that was an excellent document.
Thank you, Paul.
I agree with that. I'll echo that. I think it was well done. I mean, the graphics were a little plain, but otherwise it was fantastic.
I really liked it. Really good work.
All right.
All right. Thank
Any
you.
other comments? Hearing none, let's move on to the Member Services Division report. Cynthia Queen.
Good morning. Morning, everyone. Nice to see you. As you read in my report, SDCERS launched our new cloud-based call center system on July 18th. We're very proud of this. This system can be accessed via the internet from any location, and this is being incorporated into our business continuity plan so that other staff could run the call center in an emergency. And additionally, we would also have the ability to leave a specific message if there was an emergency where we had no services available. Supervisor Victoria Fedelizo and our Chief Information Officer, Dave Bond, and I began working on this when the pandemic started. We were able to work with consultants that were already working with the city, so that was great to leverage that relationship and be able to get moving very quickly on this. And we work with them to develop a system that fits our needs. SDCERS has specific requirements. We have to be able to record all of the incoming calls to the call center. That is for our quality assurance and for training. We also need to be able to monitor and record the various metrics, including the call wait times. We need to be able to review past calls and volume patterns, and we need to be able to utilize and change the call recordings and further use those for metrics. When we launched the system, it started right on time at 9 o'clock in the morning on July 18th, and our small team answered 102 calls successfully. I really want to congratulate the call center team and Victoria because they learned a whole new phone system on top of many new procedures that we have developed to support our members and staff in this telecommuting environment so we can continue to offer quality customer service. Now, the call wait times continue to be important to us, and during this transition, which included some quarantine difficulties, our call time was up to 3 minutes. I believe that that is very impressive when we were down to only one person answering the phones during the busy pension payroll week. Claudia George is a superstar, and I thank her. I was impressed but not surprised to see that our average call wait times in September are at 20 seconds. I think that's great. We have continued to serve our members this entire year, adapting to this ever-changing environment and making improvements at every opportunity. As you know, Jessica Maloney's webinars have been extremely popular. I've heard they're topping the Netflix charts. She offered 12 webinars in July and August, which would usually be a slow season. And she gets up to 40 attendees in these, and it's working very, very well. And of course, we have a full slate scheduled out. We also continue to provide our retirement counseling appointments via phone. And this has actually become very comfortable for our members and our staff in this remote environment, and it is working very well. So I would just like to congratulate all the team on their hard work. I thank the board for their input, their challenges to us to continue to improve, and for your continued support. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Cynthia, I have just one question, just more for clarification for me. When we implemented the remote calling system or the backup plan, functionally, does that just mean that the would-be call center personnel can access it from dialing from their own phone at home or from their cell phone, or how does it functionally work?
Thank you. Yes, the call center has been, as part of the system, they were assigned iPhones, and we do have one person who would still be in the office each day. So if they're in the office, they still access the system from their cell phone. If they are at home, they access it from their cell phone there. So technically, they could access it from an evacuation shelter as well if we were in good enough shape to be operating. But yes, it is all going on through the satellites up in the clouds and connecting to a remote system. So we do not have to physically be in this office. We do have to be able to use our cell phones, but this is an excellent option for us to have for emergency situations. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions for Cynthia?
Cynthia, absolutely stellar performance.
Thank you so much, Paul. I do appreciate that. It's absolutely a team effort. Again, I want to thank Victoria Fedelizo and Dave Bond and the whole call center and all the team. So thank you so much.
All right. All right. Since I haven't heard any other comments, let's move on to Benefits Administration Division report. Marcel?
Good morning. I'm going to make my comments very short for you today, Thanasi. Main thing I wanted to call your attention to is the first item on my report, which talks about how long it takes us to get our retirees their first check. And this was a pain point for us many years ago, and we changed our processes. The time's gone up a tiny bit, but still we're averaging 21 days from when the person who's retiring receives their last paycheck from their plan sponsor to when they get their first paycheck from SDCERS. Now, that first check may be a partial check because it's part of whatever they retired in the middle of the month. It's going to be the first 2 weeks, but they are getting that income stream starting 24 days after they get their final paycheck from their plan sponsor. Very proud of the team to keep those numbers down for our members. Our goal is 30 days, and we've been beating that goal consistently the last few years. And happy to answer any other questions people may have on my report.
Fantastic. Excellent job. By the way, I just want to point out that I think we were averaging about 21 days for the past year, with about 50 people exiting from drop and about 25 people exiting from drop and 25 people new retirements. And when we had that spike of 24 days, it looks like we jumped from, we increased to 17, 18 people retiring to 23 people with exiting drop in that same time period. So for a lousy 3 days, I think we did a great job covering that.
Yeah, we had almost 4 times the number of people retired in the month of June this year. It was a very, very busy.
And yet only had 3 days of delay. I think that was fantastic. So
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, going on to disability status report. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Hearing none. Any comments or questions from staff? Hearing none. Let's move on to Information Technology Division report. Any questions or comments from staff or from committee?
Is this my turn now, Tanasi, to talk about the financial report?
Number 7. I haven't forgotten about you, Charlie.
Okay.
Don't worry. Ted should be prepared because he should know it's coming. There's a warning that's coming for Ted. All right. Legal and Compliance Division report. Any comments or questions from committee or staff? All right, hearing none. How about financial statements? This is number 7. This is going to be a question for, and Charlie, I know you have a comment on that, so please fire away.
Yeah, well, to kill rumors that I ever read anything, I went through the entire financial statement. And under our deductions, I looked at our annual payouts. And about 3 years ago, we talked about how we were not going to call it the 13th check anymore. It was going to be the supplemental pension benefit. Well, on our financial statement, it's listed as the 13th check. So we've never made that change. And again, I'm sure somebody from the media or the newspaper will find that and make a comment on it. So I just want us to be consistent in our language.
So Ted, before you incriminate yourself, I'd like to say clearly this was a problem that came down from upper management, and that Greg should apologize for allowing that issue to happen without making you correct it first. But go ahead, Ted. Say whatever you got to say.
For the record, this precedes Greg's time at SDCERS. So basically, the financial statements. Charlie, I'm going to make you an honorary accountant because we had corrected that in the memo that we put out, and on the balance sheet, you'll see a caption called supplemental benefits payable. But this caption on the income statement has been there, I want to say, forever. So based upon your comment, I am specifically going to change that 13th check line to supplemental benefits, thereby removing any reference to an idea that it's an extra payment as a pension check.
And just so you know, Ted, my undergraduate degree is in accounting.
I remember.
And my specialty in law school with taxation.
Ah.
That's why he's on the board, Ted. He's got eyes on you, buddy. All right. Let's move on to the budget report. Any questions or comments from staff or committee members? Hearing none, let's move to annual report of fees in excess of $50,000. Any comments from staff or committee? All right, hearing none, semi-annual travel and training report. Any questions from staff or committee? All right, hearing none, we're moving into questions and comments from chair, board members, and staff. And Greg, you have that highlighted in yellow, so I'm sure you're going to bedazzle us with something.
Yes, thank you, Tanasi. And to start off with, I'd like to apologize for not catching the annual benefit payment title. So we'll do better to scrub that from everything. So we'll add that to the list. So thank you, Charlie. I think I'm going to have to remember to nominate you for a special award. We do a random drawing of those folks that help us just make us a better organization, and we'll put your name in the hat. So good luck with that. But I really wanted to highlight that at our last B&G meeting, the chair really expressed his appreciation to staff in using my words for their heroism and ingenuity in overcoming all the operational challenges that were foisted upon them by the COVID pandemic gathering restrictions. And namely, that was leveraging our existing member communication channels to replace our in-office visits and our call center, implementing webinars, as mentioned previously by Ms. Queen, to replace our in-person group seminars, transitioning in-person counseling to telephonic counseling, successfully implementing a phased telework program that now has over 90% of SDCERS staff teleworking, keeping our SDCERS teams connected to virtual meetings, and as Ms. Queen mentioned, fully implementing our integrated remote cloud-based member call center, which is operating today, as a matter of fact. On this last point, our chair appropriately asked if there were other operational challenges that we should be considering now rather than waiting for another event to happen. So, what is our thought process going forward? And our management team met to really debrief what had been happening over the past few months, and to see, what as our staff response in supporting the board and carrying out our mission, how did we do? What worked well, what didn't work well? And I think there was a couple of universal thoughts that came through. One was a lot of appreciation for all the cross-functional problem solving. This was not, one person or one team. This was really a cross-functional effort of all the different various SDCERS areas of operations getting together and communicating to address problems and doing problem solving and figure out how we should be implementing in this specific case scenario. Also, the appreciation for various staff stepping up and doing what was needed in the moment. Again, another fine example was our Deputy CEO, Marcel Rossman, on her hands and knees, making sure plugging and unplugging various computers because we were all remote, because we were not allowed to come back in the office. So people really stepping up and doing things that needed to be done. I think using the word, heroic would also our member services area with regards to the additional responsibilities they took on during the onslaught of the pandemic, thou shalt not gather. On the flip side, challenging ourselves, things that we should have done better or things we could have done more, and it always comes down to communications. People have different levels and requirements for communication, and I think we can do better in that area. So, leveraging the communication channels and just making sure people stay connected. So that was a good takeaway. The other good takeaway was the need to actually develop a plan for remote document scanning. Currently, we're doing that in-house, but it could be that we could have a future event where we would actually need to outsource that or do that in some other manner. And we've got some preliminary ideas on that, but we need to further develop that. So moving forward, we've always been an organization that has taken business resumption and disaster recovery very seriously. But most of our efforts in reviewing these types of events have been catastrophic. And, we've done business resumption walkthroughs where we're pulling up our information systems remotely, processing retiree payrolls remotely, but we haven't really focused on kind of the other nuts and bolts operational issues that can come up. So in the future, as we're doing these business resumption walkthroughs, we're going to design them so that they address some of these issues and we can begin identifying maybe some of those other, I think I used it at our last meeting, blind spots where we can actually address these issues before they become a crisis. So that's my report. There'll be more more information coming on that as we further develop our business resumption plans. And Tanasi, you're on mute. Just want to let you know.
Thank you for letting me know. I was going to ask you, who has responsibility for making sure those new items that you've identified actually get put into our policies and procedures for addressing them, and when are they going to be addressed in the cycle of things? I know we do things in cycles, so how is that getting plugged in? Who's actually responsible for that?
So I'm taking that as my responsibility, but we do have a business resumption team, and all of us carry these books, which are business continuity plans, and they are very comprehensive with regards to roles and responsibilities, different teams depending on the disaster or the event to get together. Traditionally, David Bond, our IT manager, has been the ongoing coordinator of these, but we will be looking at these as part of our quarterly management team meetings going forward. And we do have a business resumption event planned, and I'd have to ask Marcel or David, if they're on the line, when our next one is planned.
I don't have that at my fingertips, but I can definitely find out and get back to you on it. We do every other year, we do a full computer test, make sure we can do payroll, and then in off years, we've done a tabletop. So, but I don't know when the next one is scheduled for.
Thank you. Let me ask my question is just slightly different. That book that you guys are talking about, I know you guys have it, but I don't think that's ever come before the board of the B&G committee to see any renewals or reviews or updates or changes to it. Is that going to be coming back before the board? And if not, what is going to come back before the board to tackle these issues, or so the board knows that, or the committee knows that these things got handled?
We can schedule something for the B&G committee to actually look at the business continuity plan and what our efforts are. Some of that would probably have to be redacted because of the nature of the information inside the plan, but we can share it confidentially with the committee members and discuss it in public session in general terms. So we can put something on the calendar for the committee.
So, Greg, thank you. Whether it's in closed session or however that's got to be, I'm fine with it. I think my only issue is, since the B&G committee raised the question and you've done a great job answering it, what I just want to make sure is that it's assigned to somebody, and that it's going to be part of the, whatever it is, the annual review process or whatnot, and that somebody's going to be responsible for it so that we know who to fire when they don't do it. I'm kidding. But anyway, so that would be helpful. If you could just let us know when it's going to come back, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there's no closed session. Therefore, there's no closed session report. Unless there's any other comments or questions from staff, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Motion to adjourn.
Paul beat you on this. I'm sorry, but I'll take yours as a second. And just before we leave, I'm just going to say thanks again, everybody. Thank you for reading this material in advance. Thank you for helping me make this meeting go fast. And thank you to staff for writing great reports. See you guys later.
Bye, Tanasi.
Thanks a lot, Tanasi.
Take care,
Bye, everybody. Bye, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.